Hey everyone, Jake here for Extreme Terrain, and in this video we're taking a look at the Rugged Ridge Arcus front bumper with the Overrider hoop fitting 2018 and newer JL Wranglers. If you're going for more ground clearance, this is the bumper that's going to get you plenty of it. The epitome of a shorty bumper, the Arcus offers tons of protection, lots more capability, and slick compact dimensions for a pretty reasonable price. This bumper is going to be perfect for the JL owner who wants that extra ground clearance. If you're going to go off-road, do any kind of rock crawling, this is going to give you lots more room for articulation, and it's going to greatly improve your approach angle. Now that is because of the bumper's compact dimensions. This is really a textbook shorty bumper because it doesn't extend past the center of the Jeep to the fenders. So if you fitted larger wheels and tires or you're planning to do so down the line, or you're just going to be hitting a bit of a grade, this is not going to catch those tires. You're going to have a better approach angle. This is also going to include spaces for your factory fog lights right here on the sides, and if you have a Sahara or Sport model, you can keep your fog lights without having to buy any others. Nice touch. Now this bumper also includes a winch plate and a pass-through for the winch. This is your plate right here, and this is going to carry a 12K pound rating, so you should be able to haul yourself or your buddies out of any sticky situation that you might encounter. Now there are also integrated 1-inch thick receiver hooks right here. These can accept both 7/8 inch or 3/4 inch D-rings through the holes on the sides here. And there are recesses in the bumper where these are going to fit through, and you can place a high lift jack as well. So there's no shortage of recovery points on this one. It's also going to provide you with plenty of protection, and despite its compact size, with the integrated Overrider hoop, these big old hooks on the front, and that big winch plate backing it up, you're going to have plenty of support up front. Needless to say, this is not just some good looking bumper. This is going to walk the walk as well. And the best part of all is that the installation process is easy and it doesn't require you to do any drilling or permanent modifications to your Jeep. Thick 11-gauge stamped steel makes up the majority of the bumper itself, and the winch plate is 1/4 inch thick on its own. So again, this thing is pretty hefty. Everything is finished off in a nice satin black powder coat as well, so you get some additional good looks and protection out of it. Plus, it's going to keep away rust and corrosion, so this should be able to stand up to pretty much whatever you or Mother Nature can throw its way. Pricing comes in at about $700 for this one, which puts it in about the middle of the range for JL bumpers. But for all the protection and the thoughtfully integrated features that it has, that's really a good deal. Especially if you're going to be out wheeling or out in places where you might encounter obstacles, get stuck. Something like this is worth spending a little bit more money on because you're going to get the bumper and you're going to have that peace of mind knowing that you'll be able to have the tools you need to get out of a sticky situation. Installation gets a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now, especially one with a winch mount like this, it can take some time, and it's always a good idea when you're doing bumpers to have another set of hands around to help you out. But like I mentioned earlier, this is a totally bolt-on part that doesn't require you to drill or make any permanent modifications to your Jeep. So it's definitely something you can tackle at home, and we're going to walk you through the install process right now. So for that, let's head on out to the shop.
The tools you'll need for this project are an impact gun and/or 1/2-inch drive ratchet, a 3/8 drive ratchet, a trim panel removal tool, a 7, an 8, a 16, and an 18mm socket, a T55 Torx bit, a 16mm wrench, a 2.5mm Allen key, and you'll also need to source some zip ties and some sort of cable tie-down tool. Hi everyone, today we're installing a front bumper on our Wrangler. So let's get started by removing the stock bumper first. The first thing we need to do is remove the 2 push pins here that go down into the frame rails on the top, and then there's 6 more along the front side here between the bumper and the grille. We're going to be using a trim panel removal tool to remove those, but you can use a flathead screwdriver if you don't have one. So what we're going to do is just get underneath the lip on the center section. Once you get this center section popped up, then you can reach down and pop up the outer section and just pull the pin straight out. Do the same thing for this one here. And now we'll remove the 6 along the front side. Now with those push pins removed, we can just simply slide the trim panel out of the way. Now, next thing we'll do is disconnect our fog lights here on the passenger side. And to do that, what we're gonna do is slide this yellow locking tab out towards the front, like so, and then pull up on the gray tab to separate the connector. And with our fog lights disconnected, we can go ahead and remove the lower splash panel. Now, to remove our front splash pan here, we've got 8 push pins, similar to the ones we took off on top, along the front edge of the bumper here. And then we've got 2 8mm screws, one here and one on the other side, that will have to come out. So again, we'll start by using our trim panel removal tool and remove those push clips. As you can see, the ones on the bottom are slightly different, but the process is the same. And then with our push pins out of the way, we can remove our 2 8mm screws on the back side. All right, now we can remove the 2 16mm bolts here for this metal pan using our 16mm socket. All right, now we've got 8 nuts to remove. We've got 2 on each side of the inside of the frame rail, and then there's 2 more nuts on the outside of the frame rail that unfortunately we can't get the camera in here to show you, but you'll be able to see them once you're actually down here looking at it. So we'll take out these inside nuts first, and then we'll remove the outside nuts, and then we'll do the same thing on the passenger side. So using our 18mm socket and a ratchet, we'll go ahead and take those off. And now you can do the same thing for the other 6 bolts. Now with our 8 nuts removed off of the studs, we can grab a hold of our bumper and just lift it out of the way. Now we've got 4 frame horn brackets, 1 here, 1 on the outside here, and then 2 on the other side. So we'll be using our 16mm socket to remove the 2 bolts on each frame rail, so we can go ahead and get those brackets removed. And now do the same thing for the passenger side. Now, if you're using a new set of fog lights for your new bumper, then you can follow the manufacturer's specs and the bumper manufacturer specs as well, as far as hooking up those fog lights and running the wire harness. If, however, you are going to be reusing the stock fog lights, then there's a couple more things that we need to do. One, we need to remove these plastic covers on each end of the bumper so that we can have access to the fog lights and get those removed. And then you'll also need to remove this outer plastic cover from the bumper so that we can have access to the wiring harness to remove that so that we can install it on the new bumper and get our lights to work. So if that's what you're doing, then let's go ahead and get started and get these lights out so that we can transfer them over to the new bumper. So to remove these plastic covers, we're going to be using our trim panel removal tool again. And we've got 6 push pins around the outside edge that we need to move so that we can get our cover off. So we just lift this up, and just like the push pins from before, lift up the center section and then lift up the main body. just lift up the plastic cover and get it out of the way. Now you can repeat that process for the other side as well. All right, now that we've got our plastic covers removed on both sides, we can go ahead and disconnect our fog lights from the harness simply by pushing in on the release lever and pulling it up. Once we've got that done, we can go ahead and use our 7mm socket to remove the 4 screws holding our fog light into the back of the bumper. With our screws removed, we can just lift the light out of the way. Now you can repeat this whole process for the other side as well. Now we're going to use our trim panel removal tool and disconnect the wiring harness from the bumper. We've got one here and one down here, and then we've got 2 more on the other side in the same location. So we'll just put our trim tool underneath and pop them up. Now once we've got that out of the way, do the same thing for the other side. And then we've got 16 screws on the back side here, all around the outside that we need to remove. And then we've got 8 across the bottom that need to come out. So using our 7mm socket, we'll take care of those. Now we can take our screws out. Now we'll take out the 8 along the bottom here. Now with our screws all removed, we can go ahead and flip our bumper over and remove the plastic cover. So just lift this up and slide it over the tow hooks. And now using our trim panel removal tool, we can disconnect the harness from the plastic bumper itself. So we'll pull the harness through on the driver's side and then just start popping all the clips out. And with all the clips removed, pull this connector out from the passenger side. And now we can transfer this over to our new bumper. If you have a sport model Wrangler, you will need to use this adapter bracket for your fog lights to attach it to the main fog light bracket. Ours is a Sahara, so we don't need the adapter bracket. So now what we're gonna do, this is for the passenger side, and these are side specific, so you'll need to pay close attention to which bracket you're putting the lights into. Now the passenger side bracket has this upper bracket here that goes across, and the driver's side has one too, but if you flip them over, then this cross bracket will be on the wrong side. It will be on the bottom. So with that being on the top, we'll go ahead and set our light inside the bracket like so. And then using the supplied hardware, we'll go ahead and secure the light to our bracket. So we'll start off by putting a small flat washer on our screw, inserting it into the bracket, and then putting our light over the screw. And then we'll put another flat washer on the back side, as well as one of the supplied nylock nuts. Now we'll go ahead and do that for all 4 holes on the light, and then we'll tighten it down. Now with all 4 screws in place, we can go ahead and tighten that down using a 2.5 millimeter Allen key and a 7 millimeter socket. And now you can repeat that process for the other light. Now we're ready to start assembling our bumper on the vehicle. First thing we're going to do is install our winch plate, and we're going to be reusing the 2 16 millimeter bolts that go on the inside of the frame horn here. So using the original bolts, let's go ahead and get that installed. So we're going to set this in place coming up from the bottom, lining up our holes, and then installing the bolts. Now we're not going to tighten these down just yet till we get everything installed. Now if you're installing a winch in this bumper, now is the time to do that, because once we get it installed, once we get the bumper installed, it's going to be very difficult to get your winch in here. So go ahead, get your winch mounted, get it all tightened down, get it buttoned up, ready to go, and then we can go on to the next step of installing our bumper. Now we can install the brackets for our overrider hoop, and these are side specific, so you want to make sure on the passenger side that you've got your flat side here that's going on the outside of the frame horn, and this flat piece at the top is facing forward. So we'll reuse the original bolt that we took out of the frame horn to loosely mount this in here for right now, and then we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we're ready to install our tow hook and our bumper shell itself. We'll do it on one side first, and then we'll attach the other side. So we'll take our tow hook and slide it up from behind the bumper through the slot. Then we can go ahead and insert one of the bolts with a flat washer. Now these are the M12 bolts that are supplied in the kit. So we'll put a flat washer on the outside. We'll get our bolt lined up for the hole. And once you've got everything lined up, we can loosely attach the one side to hold it in place, and then insert the bolt through the bottom as well. And now we can repeat this process for the other side. Now before we move on to our next step, I do want to point out, even though we only installed the bolts on one side at a time, you do need to make sure that you've got both tow hooks in place before you start putting the bolts in. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the other tow hook in. So as long as you've got both of them in place, you can go ahead and start putting the bolts in. That being said, now let's go ahead and install our light bracket on the passenger side, and then we'll put the bolts on the outside of the frame rail here, and then they will bolt into the nuts that are welded to the light bracket. So we'll get that put in place. We'll get our holes lined up, and then using the supplied M12 bolts, we can go ahead and get those attached to the light bracket. And once we've got one side done, we can go ahead and repeat this process on the other side as well. Now with all of our main bumper brackets installed, we can go ahead and install our overrider hoop. To do that, we've got a rubber washer that goes underneath the bottom of the hoop. Now, when you put these on, you will notice, depending on how you do it, one end may overlap more than the other. They should be pretty darn close to the diameter of the pipe itself. So just rotate it around if you've got that situation. We'll go ahead and put the other one on as well. Make sure that they're aligned properly. Now we can go ahead and install the studs on our overrider hoop through the top of the bumper and through the bracket that we installed earlier. Now when you go to put this on, you also want to make sure that it's angled away from the grill and not towards the grill. Making sure that it goes through the bumper and the bracket. Making sure that our rubber gasket is lined up properly. Then we can install one of the supplied flat washers on the bottom and then attach a nut as well. Now we'll do the same thing for the other side. All right, now that we've got everything attached, we can go ahead and start tightening everything up. So you're gonna need a T55 Torx bit to do these front bolts on either side of the tow hooks. So let's go ahead and tighten those down first. Now that we've got our front bolts tightened down, now we'll tighten down the ones on the inside underneath the winch. Now, depending on your winch configuration, you may end up having to use a 16mm wrench instead of a 16mm socket, just due to clearances. And now we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we can tighten down the two nuts on our overrider hoop. And again, you'll most likely end up having to use a 16mm wrench just because of the clearance issues. So we'll tighten those down now. And do the same thing for the other side. All right, now we'll tighten down the bolt for the light bracket. And again, you're gonna need a 16mm wrench to tighten this down just because of clearances. And now you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, now we're ready to actually connect our wiring harness back to our fog lights. And before we do this, we want to make sure, of course, that the main connector is on the passenger side. Now this bumper also does not have any provisions to reuse the plastic holding clips that came off the OEM. So we're going to have to find a different way to secure our wiring harness. One way you can do that is by using these cable tie downs that you can buy pretty much any hardware store around. And what you'll do is remove the backing off of this. It's got double-sided tape. You can stick this wherever you need to stick it. And then we'll use some zip ties to zip tie around the harness and through the tie down. Now, because of the fact that we're not making this a permanent addition to our vehicle, we're not going to install as many tie downs as we probably want to, but we'll give you a couple ideas of where you can mount this to tie everything in, and then we'll go ahead and complete our installation. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and plug in our connectors to our fog lights. Make sure that they snap into place. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now that we know where our endpoints are at, we can make a determination as to where we want to route the harness itself. So we're just going to run this pretty much underneath the edge of the bumper here, underneath the winch plate. That way it keeps things out of the way. And like I said, we'll use these cable tie downs, remove the backing material off of it, and then we can just stick this to the bottom of the winch plate. Now you just want to make sure that the bottom of the winch plate is clean and no dirt or grease on it. And for our purposes today, we're going to go ahead and use 3 of these. So we'll put 1 on each end and then 1 in the middle. Now with those attached, we can go ahead and run our cable underneath our tie down, insert a zip tie through the tie down and around the wiring harness, and then secure the harness to the tie down. Do the same thing on this side here. And then for our purposes, we're just going to go ahead and kind of loop the rest of the harness around to tidy it up a little bit. And we'll put 1 more zip tie on this middle tie down. Now, once you've got your harness securely out of the way and it's not going to fall down or get caught up in anything, now we can go ahead and reconnect our main connector to the factory vehicle harness. All right, so to reconnect this, what we're going to do is slide the gray piece up on the connector, plug that into the factory harness, and then slide the gray connector back down. That will lock it into place, and then push in on the yellow locking tab to make sure that it stays in place.
And that wraps up our review and install of the Rugged Ridge Arcus front bumper with overrider hoop for your 18 and newer Jeep Wrangler JL. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Wrangler, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.